King Midas, ruler of the fertile kingdom of Phrygia, lived in a world gilded by abundance. His palace, perched atop a gentle hill overlooking the expanse of lush valleys, reflected the brilliance of sunlight on its golden walls. Yet, despite this grandeur, a restless desire stirred within him. The gardens surrounding the palace stretched in intricate patterns, a labyrinth of flowers and fountains whose colors and scents once inspired joy, now paled before the king's yearning for greater wealth. Every petal seemed to whisper promises of treasure. Every ripple of water in the fountains shimmered with imagined gold. His mind, ever restless, was captured not by the beauty of life itself, but by the intoxicating thought of gold, which he believed could turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. The days in the palace flowed like honeyed streams, heavy and slow. Servants moved silently, carrying bowls of fruit and trays of delicacies, while musicians played soft melodies that drifted through the corridors, their tunes mingling with the rustling of tapestries and the faint scent of incense. Yet, amidst this orchestrated harmony, Midas's thoughts wandered to the treasures beyond his reach. He imagined the shimmer of gold in every object he touched, envisioning the transformation of ordinary stone into radiant brilliance. Every cup, every jewel, every object in the palace seemed to whisper possibilities that might satisfy his insatiable hunger. In the solitude of his chambers, he often ran his fingers across golden ornaments, feeling a momentary thrill, a fleeting illusion of mastery over the world itself, a power as intoxicating as wine. It was during these times of indulgence that the god Dionysus, wandering the earth in pursuit of his companions, could not locate his devoted follower Silenus. Silenus, a sage whose wisdom often shone brightest in moments of inebriation, had wandered too far and was found by peasants in the dense forest, asleep from the effects of wine. His robes were tattered, his hair matted, and yet a strange dignity lingered about him, a testament to the knowledge that flowed through him when the drink loosened his tongue. Recognizing the man, the peasants carried him to Midas, who welcomed him with all the generosity his heart could muster. The palace became alive with feasting and laughter as Silenus's presence brought warmth and cheer. Dionysus, observing the care and respect Midas bestowed upon his guest, decided to reward the king's hospitality, seeing the kindness in Midas's heart as worthy of acknowledgement. Without much hesitation, Midas expressed his desire. He wished that everything he touched would turn to gold. The god granted the wish, and the moment Midas touched a simple stone, it transformed instantly into a nugget of pure gold. Elation coursed through the king's veins as he experimented with his newfound power, touching objects one by one, each becoming radiant with the glow of precious metal. Golden cups, ornate vases, simple pebbles, all gleamed under his fingers, reflecting sunlight in dazzling brilliance. But soon, a gnawing realization arose. Hunger drove him to an apple, yet the moment he touched it, it transformed into a lifeless golden replica. Bread, once a source of sustenance, shattered in his grasp, each bite a painful reminder of the curse he had brought upon himself. Midas's joy turned to despair as he realized the gift he had coveted was in fact a trap. He wept at the dining table, aware that without nourishment, his life and that of his beloved daughter hung in the balance. The young princess arrived, only to be transformed into gold at his touch, and Midas's grief deepened to an unbearable weight. The halls that once echoed with laughter now rang hollow, gilded surfaces reflecting not beauty, but a cold, unyielding reminder of his folly. In desperation, he implored Dionysus for deliverance. The god, compassionate and just, instructed the king to wash in the waters of the Pactolus. Midas obeyed, immersing himself in the river, and as the current swirled around him, the power of his touch lifted. Sand along the riverbed gleamed gold as a reminder of his folly, and the scales of the fish glittered like jewels. Yet the curse was broken, and his daughter returned to life. Transformed by this profound ordeal, Midas renounced his obsession with wealth. He abandoned the palace and, accompanied by Pan, withdrew into the forests and fields to live humbly, finding richness not in gold, but in the simple beauty of life, the quiet music of nature, and the warmth of human connection. The legend of Midas endured, a story of greed, folly, and the ultimate realization that the greatest treasures are not possessions, but love, wisdom, and the appreciation of life itself. Midas's sorrow stretched far beyond the walls of his palace. Every corner, every corridor, every chamber seemed to echo the silence of his despair. The tapestries, statues, and marble floors, now covered in cold, gleaming gold, bore witness to his folly. Days passed with a monotonous rhythm, measured by the soft echoes of his footsteps and the stillness of ornamental fountains. Midas wandered aimlessly, fingers trembling as they brushed against gilded objects, hoping that divine magic might somehow undo itself, but each touch confirmed the unyielding nature of his curse. The wealth he had so desired had become a prison, isolating him from the warmth and vibrancy of life. Even nature, once a refuge for his contemplative walks, seemed to withdraw. The gardens, their flowers transformed into metallic forms, reflected sunlight with an unforgiving brilliance. The wind no longer whispered secrets of growth and renewal, but carried echoes of his mistake. Rivers hesitated near the palace as though fearing contact with the golden-tinged realm, and birds, once companions in his mornings, had vanished, leaving only the still, shimmering air. Life itself had retreated, leaving behind an illusion of splendor, devoid of vitality. He spent hours gazing at his daughter, now a golden statue, frozen in the tender gesture that had once brought him joy. Each detail of her features captured the sunlight in immutable perfection, yet this beauty was a painful reminder of what he could no longer embrace or share. He knelt before her in quiet anguish, tears sliding over the cold contours of her gilded face. In these moments, Midas realized the true cost of his greed, the loss of love, warmth, and the vitality of human connection. Haunted by remorse, Midas turned his thoughts to Dionysus, seeking the mercy of the god who had granted and cursed his wish. Resolute, he journeyed to the Pactolus River, where waters flowed pure and living, promising the possibility of redemption. As he waded into the river, the cold current embraced him, carrying away fragments of his despair. Concentrating on a single desire, the lifting of the golden curse, he surrendered himself to the river's flow. Legends tell that the Pactolus shimmered with fine golden particles, which settled upon the sand and stones. These were not remnants of his curse, but symbols of the lesson he had learned. As Midas touched his daughter, life returned to her form, her expression softening into a smile that mirrored the warmth of her spirit. Relief and joy surged through the king's heart. He had reclaimed more than gold. He had regained life, love, and wisdom. Freed from the curse, Midas returned to his palace with new eyes. He observed objects, flowers, and fruits with appreciation for their intrinsic value rather than their material worth. Bread became nourishment, fruit became sustenance, and flowers became reminders of fleeting beauty. The king understood at last that the true treasure lay not in gold, but in the capacity to perceive, appreciate, and honor life itself. Midas eventually abandoned his role as a wealth-seeking monarch, retreating to the forests and fields with Pan as his guide. Here, simplicity reigned. Mornings were spent watching the mist rise from valleys, evenings listening to the rustling of leaves and birdsong. Every meal, every gesture, every breath became an act of gratitude. The kingdom, witnessing his transformation, revered him not for riches but for his humility, insight, and humanity. Years passed, and the story of Midas evolved from a cautionary tale of greed into a legend of redemption. The river Pactolus continued to gleam, not as a symbol of punishment, but of memory, repentance, and the enduring power of learning from one's mistakes. Midas's later life was marked by harmony with nature and the people, a life rich not in gold, but in wisdom, love, and peace. The legacy of the Golden King endured, reminding all who heard it that the truest wealth is found in the heart, not in possessions.